Alright, we got it going now. It's nighttime. It's about 9 o'clock. Winding down for the day. It's been a pretty lazy day. Talk to you a little bit about attitude. I can attribute probably 75 to 80% of my health and just uh, joy in life with my attitude. It's probably the one thing that you have control of when it comes to being happy and positive and things like that. A lot of times you can't really control your situation. You can't control the things around you. You can't control, other people, but you can control yourself. And if you choose to have a good outlook, look for the positive in things, and just, you know, learn to go with the flow sometimes, it makes life much, much easier. It takes a lot of stress off of you. It takes a lot of just, the everyday worry just does away with it. Uh, it's real easy to let everything around you affect your attitude and the way you see things. You know, Times can get tough. Things can be hard. Things can be difficult to deal with. But again, if you choose to look on the bright side, try to find some good in it instead of just letting it determine, your actions and your feelings and your thoughts. You can change your entire life. People gravitate towards naturally happy people. I've been told several times that I'm somebody that people gravitate to, and I don't think it's because I'm smart or because I'm funny or because I'm anything else. I think it's simply because I choose to have a positive attitude in any situation. When you're staring down the barrel of a double lung transplant after 37 years of a life threatening illness, it's extremely easy to be negative and to be very cynical and very just doubting and uh, angry, you know. But it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of effort to be a positive person, optimistic about everything. And when you're that kind of person and people figure that out, they want to be around you because when they're down, they want to be picked up. They want to be around people that make them happy. And I think that's one of the reasons that there's not that many happy people out there is simply because we're constantly trying to edify and uplift and encourage people in situations and things that are just uh, awful, and they've let it determine their attitude, and they've got a bad attitude, and now they don't like it, and they want to be around somebody and somewhere that makes it better, and so that rubs off. But it's a lot easier for a bad attitude to rub off on someone than a good attitude. If you've ever been in an office setting, you know what I'm talking about. You can be the most positive person there, but no matter how hard you try to be a positive influence, one person comes in with a bad attitude and that rubs off on someone else with a bad, and then they develop a bad attitude, and it just domino effects. And when it gets to you, even if you're able to stop it from affecting you, you can't necessarily change the atmosphere always. Sometimes you can. I've done it. I've seen it happen, and it's real comical. I kind of like to do it if I'm able to, but not always are you able to change that, and it can really wear on your mosquito, really wear on your emotions and your mind. That's one reason why I stress so much the spiritual side of life is because you know, that's where your strength comes from all the time because emotions go up and down. Your emotions can change with the amount of sleep you get at night. I mean, that's just, you know, if you don't get a nap during the day, it's crazy that people even live on their emotions because they're so fickle and so fluctuating with just every little thing. If I don't get my coffee in the morning, I'm a mean person. and I know that about myself. So when I don't get my coffee, I try to be extra patient and overly not accepting, but overly nice, because I'm not a morning person, and I don't like noise. I don't like to be bothered. I just want to get my coffee and be set down and just be left alone. And it's extremely hard to do that when you live in a house with four other people. So, it's a challenge, but I think even just in the small group that I'm in, my attitude is often uh, taxed a lot, and uh, accessed, for lack of a better term, because anytime something happens or doesn't go the right way, it's like you're the only positive influence in there, and you're trying to throw out all these, hey, look at this, look at that, everything, this over here is good, and before long they start coming to you and asking you, about things, and then don't uh, if you don't supply, I guess you could say, the positive attitude, then that's just another trigger, so it's difficult, extremely difficult, to maintain that in a bad atmosphere. But I can tell you, even if you're not able to change the atmosphere you're in, if you can maintain the attitude that you need yourself, it will keep you from becoming that kind of person. And I think that that's sort of where I'm at right now. I've gone through all this stuff. I've lived 37 years with the illness, and I've been depressed. I can admit that now, and I know that now, even though I didn't know that's what it was at the time. I've been depressed at times, and I've been through hard times that it was difficult to stay positive in, even with positive influences around me. So I've been in that area and in those shoes of being that negative person and needing somebody to pull me up out of it. And so I try to be that for other people, and it's difficult, but that's who I am. I've done it for so long. It's just it's ingrained in me now. Anytime I hear somebody talking bad about a situation, or just negative, I'm automatically, I just the switch flips, and I'm just like, it's not all that bad. Let's look at the good, and let's try to be positive about it, and take what we've got and build on that. And so people gravitate to that. Even happy people like to be around happy people, because we can feed off of each other, and it keeps us built up. But when you're constantly being drawn on by negative and just pessimism and things like that, it can suck you dry. And you've got to have somewhere that you can go, or that you can check into or lean on, that gives you that strength back. And for me, it's God. It's the spiritual side of my life, that prayer and all of that, the reading, just keeping my mind washed of all of the just bad, and getting it out. This is actually therapeutic. Sitting here talking to a laptop, posting the videos, hoping somebody sees them, and it helps. If not, then I'm still getting it out. But it's something that I think it needs to be addressed. There's so much depression and so much uh, mental illness in the world, and I think it's simply because there aren't that many happy people out there, and a lot of it has to do with attitude. Your situation can be dire. I was facing death. If I didn't get the lung transplant, I was going to die. You can't, and I don't have a job, so I have no money. You can't get much dire than that. But I wasn't going to let it turn me into somebody that is just a hateful, bitter person, because that in and of itself will kill you. You let that stuff eat at you. It's like cancer, and you've probably, it's a cliche. You've probably heard it all your life, but anger and bitterness is a cancer. You can't bury that stuff down. You've got to get it out, and if you don't have somebody to talk to, or that will listen, then you just kind of gravitate to happy situation or happy person as they come by, hoping to get that stuff out and not knowing the effect it has on them. It's like throwing mud on a sheet. Eventually that sheet's going to get so dirty that you can't do anything with it. It's no longer going to be a sheet, a white sheet anymore. It's going to be nasty. So you've got to constantly wash it. And it's the same thing with people. And you go and you help these people and you lift them up and you pour out what you have into them, and then you don't get it back because those people are, empty. And when they get full, you know, they're not going to pour back into you always. Sometimes they do when you need it, but they don't always. So that's why you've got to come back to something that you can get filled up with. And again, for me, that's God, that's the Bible, that's reading the Word and just constantly washing that sheet, and keeping it clean, so that when I get around people throwing mud, that it may stick and it may get me dirty, but I don't stay that way, So keeping, keeping going just with something that does that for you. A lot of people use hobbies. I love to garden. I used to grow one every year up until probably about the last 3 or 4 years, and I just wasn't able to because of my health. I couldn't get out and dig in the dirt. I just couldn't do it. And to me, that was therapeutic. I could go through the worst day and come home and just go out and get a rake and a shovel and a bucket and just go through and weed my garden and pick my produce and just be by myself and talk to God and just relax, and it just wash all that stuff off. Uh, shooting is that way for me. I could take a case of shells, go out and just blast some clay birds. Hunting is the same way for me. I love to get out by myself and just commune with the nature and God, and it could be anything. I know I like to just veg out. Me and my wife love watching movies. We've probably got close to 500 DVDs that we've just bought over the years of movies that we've seen and liked, and we like to watch movies. So we'll do that, and that helps, with that for me. And having a spouse is the same. I believe in marriage. I believe in the sanctity of it. I believe in the biblical foundation of it. It's not good for man to be alone. But at the same time, I also believe that it has been so watered down and so just diluted, today, that it doesn't mean what it used to. So, be leery of that. Always, always, always date, and know what you're getting into. But that's a completely different talk. I'm rabbit trailing. So again, just having a positive attitude even helps your spouse. They have bad days and come in and they want to get it out and wash themselves, and that's what you're there for. You're a helpmate, and that's what helpmates do. So keep that in mind if you're married, even if you're dating and are serious about your significant other. It's something that you need to really consider. This video is going way longer than I wanted it to, but I got to get this out. I'm watching right now, if you haven't noticed. But yeah, uh, anytime you're feeling just that negative, that pessimism, that glass half empty, kind of mentality, just really fight against it. Really, struggle and combat it. Really come against it and just force it, away. Working out, I used to hate doing squats. Squats were the bane of my existence in the gym. I hated them, and I tried something one time because one of the workout programs I wanted to do was heavy with squats. I mean, you did like you started with squats and you ended with squats, and I was like, I don't even know why I chose to do it, other than they said it would help me build my strength, and it did. So what I did was I just went into the gym with that workout program, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn to love squats. So now it's my favorite exercise. You get me in the gym, first thing I want to do is squat. I want to go straight to the squat rack. That's how I warm up most of the time. Is just squats. I love them, and they just make me feel good now. And it's all because I changed my perspective, my mentality towards them, my viewpoint of them, and uh, it worked. And I don't know any other way to explain it than when you take something that you hate or that you don't like or that seems to be in a bad light, and you just force it over into, this is good, this is good. You can change your mentality of it, and uh, that's what you have to do. Being positive and being upbeat it's not easy. You're not going to be able to do it all the time, but the more you do it, the more you will find yourself being that way all the time. So, I still have bad days. I had a bad day today, just negative energy from everywhere, and I was just done, frustrated, trying to zone out, and everybody was bothering me, so I was just like, you know what, whatever. But that's why, I'm doing this now, is because, again, I'm washing right now, cleaning all this out, getting it out, and just letting y'all do with it what y'all want. So, uh, I guess that's really all I've got. If you have any comments or whatever, just let me know. Hopefully, I can have a encouraging word for you. Until then, we'll see you next time.